Hello and welcome back to the channel. Alright, if you were tuned in for the last video, I promised a wheel swap on 3 K5 Blazers from Adventure Force. This is a casting that I featured in a previous video along with some other Adventure Force die casts that I picked up at Walmart. And for only 84 cents, just below the Hot Wheel pegs, these little guys were hiding. Look at the details and the casting quality of that K5 Blazer. All the body lines are there. They even painted in the Chevrolet logo on the back tailgate. They colored in the tail lights for us. And I am very, very happy with the quality of this vehicle. That is made by Masto or Maestro or however you pronounce it, okay? But 84 cents. And you know what these go for if you're buying the M2 or the Greenlight versions, okay? So I buy all of them that I can find. I've got 3 of them here in front of me. I've got some other ones. And what I did to save time was I went ahead and I wheel swapped these 2, and I have them sitting where you can't see what they look like with the wheels on them just yet. I want to do a big reveal at the end of the video with all 3 of them. But in case you haven't done a wheel swap yet, I'll walk you through how I do them. And I've left this one undone here, as you can see. And yeah, so you can get an idea of how to do these if you haven't done them before. And then when I'm done swapping this one, we'll do the reveal on all 3 of them, and we'll see how amazing these cheap die casts can look with a wheel swap of 3 different kinds of wheels on them. Rubber tires, Real Riders, if you want to call them that. So alright, let's go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and set this guy down, and I'll take the other 2 that are finished, and I'll kind of hide them away for right now. Okay, so you've got yourself a car or truck that you want to do a wheel swap on. And we'll go through the tools that you'll need as we're doing this process. But the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you have like an old work rag or a... I don't recommend paper towel. Paper towel will scratch your paint on the die-cast vehicle. And you want something like terry cloth, like an old wash rag or something like I have here. And that's so you can put this thing down, really work on it, and not worry about scratching up the paint. So first thing we'll do is remove the old wheels and axles. And this is what I use for that, okay? And I don't know that I'll use this again. If you look at the tip of these, you'll see little gouges in them already. I've only used these to do the other 2 wheel swaps on that K5 Blazer. And these were pretty expensive. I got these at Home Depot. They're from Klein Tools. They do the job, and it's hard to find a pair of needle nose cutters that will actually reach down in to the slot where you need to get. And so I was pretty excited about these because of what they costed. And I thought, man, those will hold up, and they're certainly going to be thin enough to get in there. But boy, they just gouge the metal right out of there. Very unfortunate, but hey, I'm going to use them up as much as I can, so till I find something better. But basically, you just need a needle nose cutter kind of plier that will fit behind your wheel and will get in there. And then close your eyes when you get a good hold of it. Just kind of squint and close your eyes when you squeeze this, and I think you'll see why. Did you see that? I mean, these things, it's like they got garage door springs on them. It is amazing. Those wheels and that axle went flying all over this room. I'll find it later. But you don't want that getting anywhere near your eyes. It is just amazing how much tension comes off when you cut that axle. And we'll go ahead and do it again on the back to get rid of these old wheels on the axle. And I've got it clamped on, and I'm closing my eyes, and a good squeeze. Get a better handle on it. Oh, that one, I guess I got into the wheel. Maybe that's the better way to do it, to keep them from flying. All right, yeah, man. Got wheels and axles everywhere in the room now. All right, so now we have our old axles and our old wheels removed. Now this casting is so easy to do a wheel swap on. If you've watched other wheel swap how-to videos, you'll see where sometimes, well, in my opinion, it's not always necessary. I've been doing this a long time, and I can wheel swap about anything without drilling out the rivets. But what I'm talking about is I'll take a drill, like this little Dremel style tool that I have here, and they'll drill out these two rivets, one in the back and one in the front here. And they'll actually take the base off and then do their wheel swap that way while it's apart. And then if you go doing it that way though, when you go to put it back together, yeah, you could super glue it back together. And if you don't care about that and it doesn't bother you, I guess then you can go ahead and do that. But if you don't have to do that, why would you? And in future videos, I'll show you you'll be watching a lot of different wheel swaps if you subscribe to this channel, and you'll get to see some other styles. But with this particular casting here, no need. I mean, you wouldn't even think about taking this thing apart, because there's just a hole right there for you to slide the axle through, and that is all that you need to do. And part of the reason that I never have to drill out my castings to do the wheel swaps is also due in part to the kind and the style of axles that I use when I do the wheel swaps. And they just make things so easy. We'll get to that part there, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. But yep, we got the wheels removed and the axle there. And next thing we'll do, set that down there, get rid of the old debris. And I've got one of my wheel swapping kits out here, because the set of wheels that I want to use are in here, and they're right here. I want to use this particular set. I've got all kinds of different styles, and I have other kits. I just got tons and tons of wheels. I've heard somebody say it before. I never really thought about it, but I do a lot of wheel swaps, and they said once you start doing these, they're kind of addictive, and I'd have to agree. So I keep plenty of extra wheels on stock, and all different styles. This is the one that I'm going to go with for this one. It's different than the other set of wheels that I wheel swapped on the other 2K5 Blazers. It's kind of got that swamp bogger, that real heavy treaded. They are rubber tires, and they are plastic wheels. And I just think they're going to look fantastic on there. We'll see. Alright, so now another reason that people will take these apart and drill them is because if you're going to just use the axle that comes with your wheels, if it did come with an axle, then you would actually need to take that apart, because then you can't slide this through the holes with the wheels on it, right? And they're already put together there. So I don't do that at all. I don't use this axle that comes with the wheels, and I've got an old junk pair of needle nose pliers here that I'm going to cut this old axle with to save my new cutters, since they're not all that durable, and then keep the wear off of those. And I'm just going to snap this axle in half, because I'm not going to be using it. And I'm going to set my wheels that I will be using off to the side here. All right, and the same thing with the other axle. Snap right in half, and then remove the old axle pieces from there. You want to keep a little bit of fingernails when you go doing a lot of die-cast customizing or whatnot. I don't like mine too long, but I keep a little bit so I can grab things and pull with them. It comes in handy there. Alright, now I've got my axle separated from the wheels that I'm going to use there. Okay, so next step, this is a bag of axles that I have. These are 25 millimeter, and I believe that's the smallest that I can find, and I know that the place where I buy these from, they go up to 28 millimeters, and I've got a couple already set off to the side here. But these are going to be the axles that I'm going to use. And they make it possible to do such an easy wheel swap without taking the vehicle apart, because these are, and I don't know if you can see it, but they're hollow. If you look real close, these axles are hollow. And that's going to be an important detail for what's coming up. Alright, so there's the two axles. And then also included when you buy these axles that are hollow like this, you have some smaller pins in there. And they're really hard to get a hold of. I got one there. And I have... really should separate these, and that would make things faster and them easy to grab. Okay. So I got two of the pins out, as you can see there. And basically what's going to happen, we're going to take this axle, we're going to put the wheel on it, and then we're going to take one of these pins, which it's just like a little nail, really. Oh, it's so hard to get a hold of. Whoa! Caused a little earthquake there. Gotta readjust the tripod here. Sorry about that. Okay. And then you have this little pin. It's like a little nail, and it just inserts right into the end of that hollow axle there. And it's already mushroomed on the end so that it holds the wheel on. And you do the same thing on the other side. And this allows you to slide the whole axle through there without having to take this vehicle apart at all. Okay? Alright, so what I'm going to do is knock the tripod over again, of course. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pin, one of the little short pins first, if I can get a hold of it. So tiny. Alright, and then I'm going to take my precision cutters here and grab the end of it, and I'm not going to cut this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend it ever so slightly, and not a lot, but I do want to put a definite bend on that. Okay, that's good enough. I doubt you're going to be able to see the amount of bend that I put on there. But the reason that I put the little bend on this pin is because when I go to stick it into that hollow axle, it's going to be a little bit hard to push in there because it's bent. And that's exactly what I want, because the difficulty that it takes to press it in there is the same thing that's going to hold that wheel on and keep it from coming off. Now, I know that most people that use these style of axles, they put a little drop of super glue on there and then they shove it in to hold it on without bending it. I bend it. And then what that allows for is, if I don't like the way that the wheels look on the vehicle when I'm done, or in the future if I find a different set that I like better, I can just, with a little bit of pressure, I can just yank those wheels right off and even reuse that same axle. So it makes the next wheel swap, if you happen to want to do one down the road, a little bit easier. And it's plenty strong enough that way to hold the wheel on as it is anyway. Alright, so I've got my axle. I'm going to take and go ahead and insert that. I know I don't have a wheel on here yet, that's fine. And I'm going to find the hole in the end of that hollow axle, and press that in there. And you can see it's a little tough to press in there. That's good. That's just how I want it. And I'll just kind of hammer that in all the way. Now, when I put my wheel on, it's going to stay. That mushroomed end of that pin holds that wheel on there just perfectly. Now all that I have to do is take the vehicle, find that little hole, and slide it right through. My thumb is kind of holding the end of that pin, and I'll wiggle it around just a little bit to pop it up through the hole on the other side of the chassis of the vehicle. There it is. Just pop through there. Now all we gotta do is put our other wheel on and our other pin. But before I do that, I need to bend my other pin. So that way it has the tension that I need to hold that other wheel on there. Okay, so I'll take and hold that. Again, with my precision cutters, I'm not cutting, but I'm just applying enough pressure to put just the slightest bend on that. And that's going to create the tension that I need to hold that other wheel on. So now I take my other wheel. This is where the fingernails come in handy, and you kind of get your fingernail on the end of that other axle, slide the other wheel on the other side. Did I get it? I think so. Okay. And then grab the axle pin, stick it through the hole in the center of the wheel. All right. And that's going in way too easy. I don't think I got it. Nope, I don't. The whole axle slid out. I'll be. Okay. So get that axle running back through that. There it is. Back through the hole there. Place the wheel on again. It's so easy, guys. Every time you go to do something when somebody's watching, it's always a little bit tougher, isn't it? Okay, so I got my pin. I'm going to stick it right through that hole in the center of the wheel and hopefully hit the axle this time. Yeah, that's it. That feels a little bit tougher to get in there. And to get it started, I'm just going to give it a couple little taps. Careful not to hit the truck. Don't want to scratch that paint up. Because it's bent, it's going to be a little tough going in there. That's fine. That's what we want. You don't necessarily push that in with your thumb. It's probably still enough to puncture your skin if you were to do that. So I'll get my needle nose on it and try to force it in that way. Okay. I think I got it that time. Yes, I did. Okay. Now, the wheels are on there, but those pins need to be pressed in all the way now because I didn't put enough pressure on there. And what I do is, this is a bit that came with my Dremel tool, and it just fits in the center of the wheel on one side. And then I use one of these. This is the little SIM card removal tool that comes with your cell phone. If you have one of them handy, it works out really well. And I just push into the ends of those pins from both sides of the axle to lock in those little pins. And that's what I'm going to do here right now. I'm going to put this to hold this side in and kind of hold it upside down there. And then I take my cell phone tool here and press the rest of that axle pin in with it. And I maybe bent that one more than I needed to, and that's why it's so tough going in. But okay, so there it is. Those are on there, and they're not coming off unless you really want them to, and then you could pull that off. Now we're just going to repeat the same process with the rear axle. I'll dig me out 2 small pins here. Again, 1, 2. All right, and I'll go ahead and I'll put my bend in it. And I'll stick it in my axle tube, which is hollow, remember. And I'll kind of tap that in. Boy, I'm bending these way too much today. There we go. If you bend them too much, they get really hard to get in there. I'm going to put this down on the table and okay. So I got my 1 pin in one end of the axle. I'm going to slide my wheel on. And then we're just going to do the same thing in the back here. Just going to slide it right through that hole. This casting makes it so easy. It's coming out the other side now. Now I'll go ahead and get my other pin ready. Put a slight bend in there. All right. Turn it upside down. Get my fingernail on there. Slide the new wheel on. It's not going on so easy. Wondered if it had some, oh, there it goes. May have had some leftover plastic from where they casted that wheel or something on there. Okay, and now I take my pin, insert it into the end of the axle on this side. Oh, dropped it. And you might find it easier, my fingers are kind of fat, but you might find it easier to get a hold of them with a pair of small needle nose pliers and put them in there. There we go. I know that's in there now. And then I'll get it started as much as I can. Stick my Dremel tool in the other side. And this will hold that axle while I'm kind of working this other pin in. There it goes. Now it's in there enough where I can kind of grab it with the needle nose and kind of shove it down a little bit more. And then now I'll take and you can even use another Dremel, 2 Dremel tool tools or whatever, but you just want to get the ends of those axles there and force those pins in on both sides. Okay, So, ta-da! There it is. Now, I think that looks absolutely fantastic. There you take a 84-cent Maisto K5 Blazer that gave us a lot to work with in the first place. It was pretty good casting, and put those amazing looking 4-wheel drive wheels on there with the real rubber tires. And now it is time for the full reveal of all three of these vehicles. Okay, take this towel away. There's the one. And for one of the other ones, I chose some black wheels with yellow letter tires on it. They're rubber Real Rider tires. And while I had this one done, I went ahead also and I took a little toothpick and some amber paint, and I colored in those marker lights in the front too there. And just to further add to the details. And I also took a little silver on the other end of the toothpick, and I hit those door handles. And boy, just the amount of detail. But you can see what a difference it makes with a wheel swap. I mean, that just looks incredible now with those wheels on there instead of those cheap old Maisto wheels that came on that thing. And then the third one, another slightly different wheel variation. I went with the silver with the white letters on those. And again, while I had that one out working on it, I colored in the marker lights, turn signals with the toothpick and the amber paint, and hit those door handles. And with these wheels and just those little details right there, what a fantastic transformation. So I'll get these all set up beside each other here, and we'll just check them all out here real quick before we close out the video. Get them on the edge of the table, and we can see them better there. But boy, what an amazing transformation on 3 84-cent Adventure Force K5 Blazers, and these things just look amazing. Now, if you wanted to spend a little bit of extra time, one thing I thought I might do with the one with the black wheels is actually paint those bumpers black. And if you really wanted to get detailed and really soup these things up, then you could paint the topper on these things black. Yep. But there they are. There's the 3 Adventure Force K5 Blazer wheel swaps. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, because we'll be doing a whole lot more of this kind of stuff in the future with all kinds of different vehicles and all kinds of unboxings coming in the future as well. Until next time, thanks.